Hello, welcome to another video. This is one of the first of its kind. I have done other tutorials in the past, but they were mostly just screen recordings. This one, I'm actually talking to the camera and doing a screen recording, so hopefully they will get better. I don't know if this is going to be a great video, but I'm trying my best here. Anyway, today's video is over kind of how I edit my photos as well as creating your own presets, because this is a question I get a lot from my Instagram followers, or it's basically, what presets do you use, or what are your camera settings? And I promise I'll get better about sharing that information. I'm going to try to put that in my vlogs, or at least maybe in the future do shorter vlogs and add an editing session like this at the end of it, so you can see what I do to all of my photos in post after I go out and take them. So we don't know yet. This isn't my full-time job, and I don't have a lot of time to do that for every single session, but I will try. So today I'm going to show you how I edit my photos. I'm going to try and give a photo a sort of a glowy effect, and then how to save that as a preset that you can use on other photos, or perhaps even sell as a pack once you get it down and make several. I don't know, but that's a sort of a lucrative business these days, so you might be able to use this to your advantage. So if you give me a second here, let me set up my screen record and open up Lightroom. By the way, I use Lightroom Classic. I don't use the newer version of Lightroom, and there's several reasons for that. The first one is that in the past, it's caught up now, but in the past, the newer version of Lightroom, this is called Lightroom, lacked a lot of stuff that the Lightroom Classic had, such as what was called range masking in the past, which is now called luminosity masking. It's all in the new Lightroom now, but there is one thing that I'll show you here that I use all the time, which is this section right here. It's called color calibration. I use this all the time, and until it makes it into the new Lightroom, I cannot fully switch. I'm not opposed to switching, I need everything that I'm comfortable using in the new one in order to make the switch. So once this makes it into the new Lightroom, I'll use it. And if somebody knows how to get this into the new Lightroom somehow, let me know. Maybe I just missed it. Anyway, so let's jump in right here. I am going to give this photo that I took the other day on the 1st Street Viaduct in East LA near Boyle Heights, near the 101 and 1st Street. I'm going to give it kind of a glowy look, because as you can see here, we've got, wow, I don't know what's going on there. Look at that. Like a flock of gnats or something. Anyway, it's already kind of glowy because the building here you can see is breaking up the sun into some light rays. But I want to give it more of a glowy effect. So really, in all honesty, the first thing I'm going to do is crop it, because if you're going to put it on Instagram favors the 4x5 crop. That's the one that gives you the most screen surface area. So if you somebody that wants to have your picture as big as possible on Instagram in somebody's feed, use the 4x5 and use the vertical hold, or crop it. If you're shooting in landscape, make sure that you crop it, or use the landscape or the portrait crop. I think is what it's called in the new Lightroom. I don't know. I just shoot both ways just so I have a copy of each. So that's the first thing I'm going to do here, is I'm going to crop it so that I know I have the maximum surface area for Instagram. And then I'm going to work from the top down. Kind of. You'll see. So what I'm going to do here first is, I can see that we have some, dark areas here that are a little bit too dark. So I'm going to remove the shadows slightly, not too much, but just enough to give it sort of the, sort of a glow of orange red in here from where the sun's coming in. Now I'm going to increase probably a little bit the whites, not that much, but maybe like 40, just because I want the sun to appear more glowy and not like a little tiny ball. And then let's see here, I'm probably going to bump the exposure a little bit, not much. We're going to go like half stop. Oh, not quite right. Come on. There we go. Half stop. And then the highlights, I'm just going to kind of slide it back because I don't see, that's not what I want. I want it to look more glowy, so I'm going to probably increase them a little bit to where you can kind of see the glow of the light ray here between the buildings. So that looks good. Now I'm going to try and recover the black a little bit by pushing this down slightly to give it that more moody look. Right about there, I think looks good. Now, contrary to what a lot of new photographers will do, I am not going to increase the clarity. I'm actually going to decrease it because I want this to look like it's glowing. And you'll see that even if you don't do it too much, then it's not going to ruin the quality of the picture or sacrifice any detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull it down to 30 or negative 30 and see how that looks. Now you're going to see, we do this again. Yeah, see, we just lose some clarity around the buildings, but it's good. It gives it like a hazy glow. So I'm going to just settle for 30 and see how that looks. That looks like a nice glowy sunset. I'm going to increase the saturation to slightly, not too much, because I don't want to overdo anything and make it look incredibly weird. And I'm going to skip all of this and I'm going to come down to the bottom. This is just how I like to do things. I'm going to go to the color calibration. So I like to start with blue. Sorry, I don't know why this, there we go. I like to start with blue and I like to just play with it a little bit. Now I do like the teal and orange look, but I don't like to overdo it. So I do tend to lean that way a little bit. I am going to bring this back down to where it's kind of tealy or kind of red. I want this to look like a sort of a red and black glow. And I think that that looks good right there. I don't think I'm going to do the like I don't really like oversaturated photos. I think maybe a little bit because it does help increase the sun glow. Now let's see what green looks like this way. It's a bit too yellow. I want it to be more red, so we're going to go this way, not to the extreme, but let's do about 15, 16. That looks good. Same with red. I'm going to lean more towards the orange direction at first. No, too yellow, so I'm going to pull it back into the red, but not too much. So let's go 10, 12, something like that. That'll look good. And then I'm going to turn the shadows, the tint of the shadows. So we're going to go, yeah, that looks pretty good when we're leaning on green. But I think since I want to go more red, I'm going to go towards more of the pink side, but I'm not going to overdo it. I'm going to do like 6 or 7. Yeah, I think right there, 6, that looks okay. That looks good to me. So we're going to leave it at that. And then I'm going to go back up to here. This is where I start my grading process. And I always start with the midtones. And sometimes I don't even go into the shadows or highlights. It's just a personal preference. Now this is going to be your photo. You can edit this however you want to. So don't feel like you have to do this. And also these presets are just a starting point. You can use them on any photo you want, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Once you apply this preset to another photo, you can still change without affecting the preset. So if you want to up the exposure a little bit or something like that, you can always modify it. So I'm going to start here, and then now this is just the way I do it. I go to the extreme and I just slowly move the circle around to see what I kind of think looks good. Now I know I want to go more orange red with it, so I'm probably going to end up right about here. But just out of curiosity, I'm going to slide it all the way around the circle just to see if there's anything else that sticks out in my mind that makes me say, ooh, I want that look instead, and I don't. So I'm going to go on the orange, kind of toward the red, right about here. But I'm not going to take it to an extreme. So I'm going to hold shift, which draws that line there. And I'm just going to kind of run it up and down this line to see where I want it. About right here. I think that looks good. So from here, I'm going to go ahead, and I think it is a little bit too orange red. So I'm going to go up to the hue section of the hue, saturation, and luminance, and I'm going to start with the orange. And I'm going to push it a little bit more towards the yellow. Yeah, that looks good, right about here. I'm going to do the red too. Yeah, I don't know. Go a little bit more orange. I think that looks good. Now, I don't think I'm going to play with any of the other colors because this is really where I want it to be. And now let's see what it looks like with the shadows and highlights changed. Now, sometimes I won't do this, sometimes I will. Most of the time I end up with blue in the shadows and orange or yellow in the highlights. I will probably end up that way again, but I'm going to do the same process. I'm just going to slide this over to the extreme, go around and see what I think looks good. See, now it looks really natural right here at blue, as it mostly will because that's just really pleasing to the human eye. But I also think that this looks good. I'm not going to use it because I'm not going to go to this extreme in the first place. So I thought that the blue looked good right on the border here where there's still some red that you can see. But again, I'm going to hold shift and I'm not going to go very far. Leave it about right there. Now, general practice is you do the highlights opposite of what you do your shadows. So I'm going to try and see what that would look like if I went directly opposite, which should help me because I'm trying to get it to be a red-orange glow. Go right about here. And yeah, that looks really good. I like that a lot. So I really like that. So I'm going to go about half, about right there. And now I'm going to go up here again and adjust this a little bit more because I do think it is a little bit too red. Or maybe not. I don't know. That's the beauty of experimentation like this. You can really decide what you like and what you don't like. But I do like this going more towards the red side now. And I'm going to pull this out more towards the yellow. And I think that that looks really good. So now I'm going to go up and look and see what I've done here. I think I'm going to slide the contrast the opposite direction. A lot of people like high contrast photos like this, and don't get me wrong, I think it looks good, but I think it's a little extreme. And if you go the opposite way, if you go to the left, you will also see a lot more detail come out in the shadows. Like, see how you can see so much more down here than you could, but you still have, with the dynamic range of cameras these days, you still have a lot of dark and light to work with. So it's completely personal, up to you. I'm going to leave the contrast down, but not that far. I'm going to go down maybe like 20 so that I can see in here a little bit, but I still retain a lot of darkness. Now, I do like to play with the tone curve. This one kind of has a wonky tone curve, as you can see here. But I just, out of curiosity, I want to use one of these presets here. You have strong, medium, contrast, linear is basically whatever came out of the camera. Medium contrast will do a very, very mild S curve, and it may enhance it, it may not, so we can always undo this, not a big deal. Okay, I think I like that. Even though it's darker here in the midsection of the camera, or the midsection of the photo, I think that I like it. I do think it is a little oversaturated, so I'm actually going to pull that back. Leave it at 0. There's some magenta. It looks like a little oversaturation of magenta in there. So I'm going to come down to the saturation area and I'm going to pull, see if this has any effect on it. A little bit in the shadows, but not. I'm going to leave it here and see. Okay, so really it's the red. What I'm looking at is right here where it looks a little fringy. And I'm going to bring it down to where it doesn't look so fringy. About there. I'm going to see if the overall image still retains that red look. Yeah, it does. It's not bad. I'm going to bump it up a little bit more. Let's do like -12. Okay, that looks good. So we still have a little less fringy, sort of purpley stuff going on here. And we still have the look we're going for. We got this nice red-orange glow. I think it looks good. Maybe you don't. But then again, if you're following along here, you can really just play with whatever you want. I'm really just here to show you how I would edit this photo for Instagram, and then how to save this as your own preset. So that's what we're going to do next. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I always do this just to make sure that the settings are all saved, I'm going to copy the settings. And in order to do that, you can either hit Command C or Control C on Windows, or you can come here and go, make sure you click on this strip down here, because if you do it up here, you won't see the Develop Settings menu for some reason. I don't know why they have it so weird, but click down here, you see Develop Settings, and go over to Copy Settings. Okay, then it shows you everything that it's going to be copying. Click Copy, and then go to a similar photo like this, paste it. Bang, there we go. It looks really similar. It's a little bit different because this one has more of a part of a train in it. All right, so back at this one, now I know this is what I want to save. I already have a preset over here called Glow. It's a different kind of glow. I'm not going to use it on this photo. So I'm going to go here. If you don't already have something that you want to save it into, you can save it. You just click the plus, click Create Preset, and there's a group called Glowy Stuff. If you don't have one, you can go to New Group, and it will allow you to create an entirely new group, and you can put whatever you want in there. I'm not going to, because this is a glow preset that's going to go in there. So I'm going to call this one red/orange glow, and create, and there we have it there. Now we can go over to a different photo. Let's say I have one over here that was more horizontal, and I'm going to apply it there. Bang, same kind of thing, similar. Now there would be some more stuff that I would do to this particular photo right here, and that would be to probably hit it with a luminosity mask and get some more detail out of these really dark areas. But I'm not going to include that in the preset because that's a little bit more advanced, and as we know, it's not going to work on every single photo. But I think this looks really good, and all I did was hit it with the preset that I just created. So that's how you do it. That's how you save your own preset, and that's how I would edit this photo. Again, personal preferences, but I get a lot of questions about it, so I figured that I would share. So I will probably do more of these. I will probably change it. That's why I named it red/orange, because it may go more orange, it may more go red at some point, and I probably will have one for several different colors. I'll have a red, an orange, maybe a blue glow, who knows. But that's why there's a Glowy Stuff group over here, and that's why this one's red/orange for now. It may change to red, it may change to orange. The sky's really the limit with your creativity here, so I would just say take this and run with it and say enjoy it. Anyway, that's it. That's it for now. If you want to then save this or give it to somebody, you can do this. You right click here and hit export, and it's going to save this. You can call it Orange Glow, go to your desktop. It's going to save this. Oh, hey, look at my recording as a folder, a file here. You can see right here on my desktop, it says Orange XMP, Orange Glow XMP. You can give this to your friends, or you can put it online to sell, whatever you want. And there you go. You've got a collection of presets that you can give away or sell or whatever, with your creativity stamped right on there. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. You got some value out of it. Again, I'm going to try and edit some of these smaller working sessions. I know this video is a little bit longer, but I'm going to try to get these in after some of the vlogs that I do, so that way you really understand how I edit my photos and how I take them. And with that, you can also see, if you look at my screen right here, you can see where I took this. ISO 640, 55 millimeters, f11, 1/1600th of a second. And this was on my Fujifilm X-T4. So if you see me using my R6, you'll see, or I'll just say I took it with the R6, but you'll see some different data and different focal lengths up here. And maybe that will add a little bit more value to the ends of my vlogs, or mix ends with my vlogs, I don't know. But I want, especially this day and age, to add as much value to all the social media platforms that I'm on as possible. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, got some value out of it. If you did, thumbs me up. If you didn't, thumbs me down. And I will see you next time. Thanks.